All right, everybody. Welcome. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. We're going to be doing an AMA today. It should be a lot of fun. I'm going to be answering as many questions as I possibly can today. We've got a lot of fun stuff coming up. Before we get started, though, I do have a couple of things. If you know someone wants to play a GMeric game, send them my way. I'd love to talk to them, either through Twitch or through Discord. My Discord username is gm.eric. Send them my way. We'll either talk about doing a one-shot or getting on the wait list for a campaign session. Lots of options. Patreon is live over at patreon.com/gmeric. Go check that out. We got a lot of fun stuff on there, including the rights to get your questions prioritized for the AMA, like today. So go check that out. It's a lot of fun. We've got maps on there, got sneak peeks of art, got updates on what I'm doing as far as business goes, etc. Go check it out. It's a lot of fun. Even getting your name in the credits of the videos. Also, the GM tip videos go up every single day over on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And the GMeric archives go up every single day over on YouTube. Go check those out. They are a lot of fun. If you do watch them, go ahead and make sure you hit the thumbs up button. It does help out a ton. It helps the service get out there and get more eyes on what's going on with GMeric and all of the campaigns, etc. So go check that out. It's a good time. There is also a clip contest currently going on. So if there's a session that you guys would like to timestamp of or a clip of, toss that in the clip contest channel in Discord, and you're entered for a real life prize at the end of the month. And that drawing will be taking place tomorrow, and the prize will be changing for next month. So be ready for that, guys. Lastly, we have the AMA today, which is going on right now. And then on October 24th, I am hosting Bubble Laser, one of the artists who does so much art for both me and for the community. Come hang out. It's going to be a great time. All the tickets for that are sold out. They were super expensive, but they did include a piece of art done by Bubble Laser as part of the one-shot. So it should be a really good time. So come hang out. We're going to have a good time for that. We're going to be doing a Halloween spoopy one-shot. But we're going to go ahead and get you guys started here because you guys came to listen to me talk about questions you guys had. So I'm going to pop up my little AMA window here. We're going to change the music here because the music's a little bit distracting for you guys. So we're just going to go ahead and switch that around a little bit here. Alrighty. Put that on just so that there's a little bit of a background something. All right. So we're just going to go through the first question. And the first question that I have today is, what can a player do to help themselves and their fellow players have a great session? And this question came in from Mio, or Dustin, who is now playing Shamrock on Tuesday nights. The biggest thing that people can do is pay attention. That's the number one thing, is just pay attention to what's going on. Have a notepad. Make sure that you're paying attention and having a lot of fun, being engaged. But as far as helping the other players at the table, engage them. Try to enhance that other person's play. Do alley-oop moves, things that would enhance that other character. If that other character is doing something impressive, whistle appreciatively, cheer, have your character be involved in that way, and it will enhance the experience for everybody. You'll be surprised how often they'll reciprocate and come back and be like, hey, look, I loved the fact that you cheered for me. I'm going to cheer for you. If it's a sad moment, have your character be mournful. Be engaged in the situation. That is the biggest thing. So go check that out. As far as doing that, enhance the other characters, and it'll come back to you 10 times over. It's so much fun. As far as enhancing the play for everybody, be engaged, listen to what's going on, shut off the TV, focus on the game, and you'll have more fun. All right. So thank you, Mio, for that one. I hope that answered that appropriately for you. I'm going to go ahead and I have to mark these off as I get them completed. All right. So the next question is going to be, and next question here is going to be from Tyronius. And he asks, you raise one character to godhood. Who would you pick? Well, Tyro, I went and I thought real hard about this. I really had two real ideas about this. And I thought about it long and hard. And I have two answers for this. One, it would be an NPC. And I think that's what you meant, was an NPC. And I would seriously consider elevating Mr. Verm to godhood. Because I believe that he would be a very interesting god of intrigue and potentially god of secrets that currently has a lot of potential for some interest. So I would consider Mr. Verm for godhood. But as far as a player character who's currently in a campaign, I would actually consider Tati from the Toivonen Trainwreck, because I think that she would be a really cool god of memories. I think that that would be a lot of fun to have Tati be that god of memories. That would be kind of cool. So I hope that answers that question for you. I think it's a good question that took a lot of thought on my part. So, yeah, those are the two characters that I would consider at the moment as being the two that I would really want to do. All right, the next question coming up. What is your opinion of pineapple on pizza? And this question comes from Aimer for Mayor. Well, Aimer, Joe, I actually really like pineapple on pizza. I like the sweet contrast to the savory aspect of pizza. I realize that it is a major talking point for a lot of people that it's wrong, but as far as pizza goes, technically it's wrong. However, as long as you're not going technical on pizza and you just want food that tastes good, yeah, I kind of like it. So that's my personal opinion on it, is I actually like pineapple on pizza. All right. And the next question, and I'm going to have to do all this myself, guys. All right. So the next question is Leslie good or evil? And this one is this one's a complicated question. It depends on your perspective. Based directly on the D&D rules from 3.5 and 4th edition when she was created, 4th edition specifically, she is a lawful evil character. However, it's important to realize and understand that according to the original rules, it was certain aspects of the character that made you evil, things that you were willing to do. And Leslie's willing to do nearly anything as long as it protects and furthers the aims of the consortium and her friends. She is not above poisoning people, killing people, bending people to what she needs. As long as it protects the people around her, she is focused and laser focused on ensuring that the people of the consortium are protected and taken care of as best as she can possibly do. So, yes, she's technically evil because she's willing to do whatever it takes, but she does it for a good reason. So, it's more complicated than just evil or good, but she's not exactly a good person. So, I hope that answered that question, and that was from Tay. So thank you, Nick, for the question. All right, the next question here is, where do babies come from? And this comes from Hunter/Zorro. Well, you need to either ask your parents, or you need to go ahead and talk about the cloners, other magical sources, etc. But generally from their parents, that's usually a good answer for that. All right, so we'll just answer these questions. Like I said, guys, people on Patreon got the priority on these, so we're just going through real quick and blasting through these as quickly as we can. All right, so the next question comes from Dustin or Mio Shamrock, and it is, if not a professional GM, what other profession would you like to pursue? And or what did little Eric think he'd be when he grew up? And we'll just go ahead and shrink this a little bit so that we can see all that on there. All right, there you go. Well, if I had to change professions from what I'm doing now, I would probably go back into IT because I'm very good at IT. I love working in IT with computers, etc. I've been doing it my entire career. From when I was 16 years old, I started working for an internet service provider. I've been a webmaster for a major metropolitan health system. I have done touchscreen cash registers. I have done, IT, cybersecurity. I've done network admin, server admin. Before YouTube got bought by Google, I was a server administrator for the company that hosted YouTube. The guys from YouTube used to call me. I would talk to the guys who owned YouTube on a regular basis, like every day we talked to them. So, in fact, there's a video over on YouTube about YouTube leaving our service at Server Beach, and I'm in that video saying goodbye to YouTube. So, IT would be a lot of fun to go back into at some point if I absolutely had to, and GMeric failed as a business, but it's not really where my heart is anymore. I'm good at it, I enjoy it, and I understand it. I've got the experience and credentials for it. However, it's not what I love. I really love being a game master. When I was a kid, I thought I would become a GM and do game testing. That was the big thing I thought I was going to be doing, was testing video games and all sorts of board games, etc. I've always been a gamer. My parents, when they got married, received an Atari 2600 as a wedding gift from my grandparents who worked at Atari, and my teething toy was an Atari 2600 joystick. I have played video games my entire life, and I met my wife in World of Warcraft. I got a kid named after Babylon 5 character, cat named after Star Trek character. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I've always thought I've want to be a gamer. I even worked at Blizzard Entertainment, being a game master over there. So GMing is kind of what I want to do, and I'm glad and super thankful to all of my players and clients who come in and support me so much and participate in my sessions. You guys are amazing, and I would not be able to do this without you guys. I absolutely love it. I want to say thank you to my Sage Council, because I do have a group of board of directors that I've assembled of successful business people and mentors who are in various spaces and entrepreneurships, etc. And those guys tell me what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong. And without those guys, I would really fall apart. And I need to thank my wife, because she is super supportive of me doing this and has given me the chance to do so, as well as Kathy, also known as Covet, who is my logistical specialist. She does it on a volunteer basis, and she keeps my to-do list intact in order to be able to do this. But yeah, what I've always wanted to do was run video games and board games and gaming in general, and it's a privilege to be able to do this. And I bust my butt every single day to make sure that I can keep doing it, because I love this, and I'm going to keep doing it as long as possible. But we've got a lot of fun stuff coming up that I'm excited to share with you guys about the future for GMeric. It's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, so the next question, but yeah, thanks Dustin for the question. I hope that answered that appropriately. But yeah, I'd either go into IT. The other thing I would consider doing is life coaching. I've recently gotten done with a year-long coaching of a friend of mine, and he has become super successful over the past year. Super proud of him. And I really love doing it. I've done it for, 20 or 30 people now over my lifetime. And it's a super rewarding thing for me to do. I've never done it for money, but it's something I've considered doing, is actually life coaching for money. It's one of those things that I would consider doing. All right. Next question is going to come from Dustin as well. That is, Have you considered training others to be professional GMs? Yes. Um, as many of you guys know, I've been working on the studio remodel, and I hope you guys like the backdrop and the setup. It looks nice and clean. It has had a lot of technical side stuff that doesn't get visually seen, but we've upgraded the network in the area. Thank you. I appreciate it. I've been doing the GM tips every single day for almost an entire year now. So if you guys have not watched those, go check those out. Let's see. I also have a process coming up where, because I now have much more room in my studio, because my studio was cut in half by my backdrop, which was directly behind my chair. I didn't have room to work, and I felt super cramped and isolated and just cooped up. Because I now have more room, I'm going to be able to do much more work comfortably, and there will be a series of videos that are planned. I even have titles for them and bullet points for them as to things I want to talk about as far as how to become a professional GM. I want to do a series, and this is a desire, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to pull it off, but I would like to do a series on how to build a business from go and get your tax ID, go to the business administration office, how to do that, build the business from the ground up so people can learn what all is involved in doing what I do, and then showing a day in the life of GM Eric. I think it'd be a lot of fun to explore that as a revelation to myself and to other people. I think it'd be a lot of fun to share that. So look for that at some point. It's probably not going to be this year, but it is a project that is in the works, and I do have process currently going on. I hope that answers that question, Dustin. Okay. I'm working off of an Excel spreadsheet here, guys, so I'm having to do all this myself. All right, so next question is going to be from Tay or Mordrax. Nick, what's a place you've never visited but always wanted to anywhere in the world, and why? Man, I had to go and think about this really, really hard because I've been to all 50 states. I've been to Canada. I've been to Mexico. I've been to the Bahamas. I've traveled all over the place. I've even included Alaska, Hawaii, everywhere. I've been to England. I love traveling. I have taken road trips where we've done like 35 states in a single road trip in like 2 months. I absolutely love traveling. I enjoyed a lot. I thought long and hard about this, and if I were to go anywhere, I would consider going to Cuba, and I think it'd be a lot of fun to visit there and do that. But I think I'd like to go fishing around Cuba, but right now the Cuban government doesn't allow fishing in the area, and so at the moment, I think that due to the political climate over there, that's kind of a no-go, and so while I'd love to go and visit, it's a thing that's kind of low on the priority list. For those who don't know, I am going to be going um, to Alaska for Thanksgiving. I'm going to go visit Brad, and he is a lot of fun. And we're going to go in. I'm going to try to go ice fishing again this year. So last time I caught one trout, and hopefully I can catch something bigger than trout. So yeah. I hope that answers the question, Nick. All right, next question is from sorry. I did the same question here. Let me scratch that one off here. All right. Oh goodness, I messed up. Here we go. So next question is going to be, what is Brad's least favorite dish to serve? Now, I asked up on this because for those who don't know, Brad, the super waiter in the Naushan Tavern of the Longshares Consortium, is based off of my real life brother, Brad. He is an absolute amazing character in real life. He is the manager and operator of the farmers market in Fairbanks, Alaska. He is a super charismatic person. If you've not ever gotten the opportunity to meet him, if you ever end up in Fairbanks, go hang out. It's an absolute blast. They have great vegetables, great produce, etc. And I asked him, I literally called him up and I'm like, hey, Brad, what is your favorite and least favorite dish to serve? And Brad's least favorite dish to serve is Hot Pockets. He hates anything super processed. He thinks Hot Pockets are the devil. He hates them. They are horrible. He does not want to serve them at all. However, I also asked him what his favorite dish to serve was, and it was wild game cooked properly. And he recently shot a moose on his own land, and he has fresh moose ready for me when I go up to visit him in Alaska. So we're going to eat some moose. It should be fun. He's also a pretty good cook. Brad and I, growing up, we used to bake bread and sell it at the homeschool co-ops and stuff in order to make money for video games because we both loved video games growing up. So yeah, we're both pretty good cooks. It's a thing. Hope that answered that question for Tyro. Tyro got a whole bunch of questions in a row here. So we'll just go ahead and do these. And remember, we're answering these questions based off of the Patreon people first, because that's one of the perks of being on Patreon. And then after Patreon, we'll hit up the rest of the questions. So because Tyro is on the Patreon, he gets his questions answered here. So the next question is, does Brad cook everything himself or is it summoned? In real life, Brad wishes he could summon the food and have it be done. He does cook it all himself. He's a pretty good cook. His wife, Christine, does cook as well. But as far as in the game, I'm not going to answer that. That is a question that you guys will have to find out. But the answer I wrote down was he wishes he could summon food. So I hope that's enigmatic enough for you guys. All right, so that's Tyro's question there. And next question we're going to answer for Tyro is, what's in the kitchen? What's in the kitchen of the Long Striders Consortium? And the correct answer for this is Brad. Brad is in the kitchen at the Long Striders Consortium. All right. The next question. I'm being a dick, and I know it. So we go to the next question, and this is a long one. So we're going to shrink this a bit so that we can fit the whole thing in here. Goodness, still doesn't fit. Let's shrink this all the way. All right. It's been revealed that Dragonborn are made using the souls of true dragons. Does that mean that there might be any traits from the dragon whose soul was used in the creation? Could another dragon get a sense or even straight out recognize a soul from a friend or foe when the previous entity had it? Well, this is a bit of a complicated question because there's a assumption here that is not accurate. And the assumption is that the Dragonborn are not Dragonborn in Toivoa. And it's very important that we go ahead and cover this appropriately. The Dragonborn in Toivoa are not created from the souls of dragons. They're created from bodies of dragons and are new souls. They're not the soul of the dragon pulled out and put into a new body. It is the body and energy of the dragon being created into a new being. So no, not necessarily the soul being recognized. So that's not what would be recognized. However, the traits of the dragon used to create the Dragonborn, some of those traits could be inherent in the Dragonborn's form and do make a lot of sense as to the Dragonborn having, let's say, a certain scale color, perhaps similar horn style, fins, webbing between fingers, whatever it might be. It's a bit of a different thing. Yeah, it's kind of like recycling the bodies to keep the amount of them same at all times. Not quite Jungle Cat, but it's the body of the dragon being turned into a dragonborn person. Dragons themselves can reproduce and have baby dragons, etc., which is a thing, and it does happen, mostly over in Australia. If you guys want to have a little bit of spoiler, Australia is the land of dragons, for those who have not been there in the campaign setting. There's a lot of them there. The Toivonen Trainwreck is currently over there, and they have been experiencing it. They've been dealing with a lot of petulant dragons. So if you want to see more about that, join up on Wednesday nights, because we've got a lot of stuff coming up there. They will be leaving the Australian wild space soon, but they're probably going to be there for a couple more sessions. I'm going to take a drink of water real quick. All right. I'm just going to keep hydrated, guys. Yes, Dragonborn can reproduce, but you got to find a boy Dragonborn and a girl Dragonborn. So, and no, Dragonborn are not baby dragons. No, they are baby Dragonborn. But yeah, if a Dragonborn and someone else mate, then it would likely be a half Dragonborn, not a Dragonborn person. So, eggs are liveborn. They are liveborn. So sorry. All right, but no, when the Dragonborn are created, they're created alive. So hope that answers that question. Hope that was a fun answer for you guys. All right, so the next question here is, how do you decide on balance between groups when it comes to very powerful items? This comes from Joe, or Aimer. Honestly, I don't balance items between groups. I don't. The various groups have different power levels, different builds, different characters. I don't balance them between characters, between campaigns. I balance them between characters so that everyone across the group itself is fairly level. I offer items that people can shift around and move around and balance out. But as far as balancing the various groups across the various campaigns, I don't do this because some groups want it harder. I'm looking at you guys beneath Fallen Skies, while other groups want it slightly easier, which is perfectly fine. It's just different play styles. So because of that, that's why we don't run campaign characters for the Battle Royale, because frankly, you guys don't want to face off against the Spirit's End Fellowship right now. The Spirit's End Fellowship is exceedingly well equipped and would absolutely raffle stomp the vast majority of the other groups. You don't want to do that. So I focus on balancing equipment to the encounters of a story, not campaign to campaign. Yes, you're all in the same world, and yes, we share content interactions across the groups, but as far as balancing the groups, no. This is not a thing that you guys want to be involved in. It is, Spirits and Fellowship would absolutely own you guys. For those who don't know, Echo Rex can do like 180 damage per spell. Aimer can critically strike for like 160. It's just a machine that those guys have built, and it's amazing and it's cool to see, but it is not something that you guys want to compete against. It is deadly. So no, not something I worry about is the balance between the groups. I worry about the balance within the groups, and that's where I should be at. All right. And I've been hitting my KVM switch way too much and switching screens. All right. Next question here is also from Aimer. Aimer asks, is there a method why some groups may be denied certain items while other groups are allowed them? Yes. Certain groups need assistance in certain aspects and are fine with the higher mechanics of, let's say, flight. Flight is a big one that I don't like to include too much because the three-dimensional thinking on a virtual tabletop is exceedingly difficult to track. I have people who have a hard time tracking their normal abilities, etc. So I don't usually give out like Broom of Flying or Wings of Flying, Potions of Flying, Potions of Speed, Break the Game. there's certain items that I don't want other people getting into because they will break the game because of their builds. If I were to give certain swords to a certain character, it will break the game and cause me to have to throw massively defensive monsters that will just kill the rest of the party and break the campaign. I can't do that. So there's a reason why I do my very specific item selection is so that people have a fun time in the campaign while at the same time not breaking things. So yeah, I have to be considerate about that. And item selection has bitten me in the past, and I've had to fix things, and I hate doing it. But it is a thing, and it's a valid question, Aimer. I hope that answered that appropriately. All right. Next question from. Here we go. Next question from Tay comes in here, and we're going to go ahead and answer this one. Concerning GM Eric from a business standpoint, what's something you want to do to improve? What, in terms of social media, helps your company the most? Well, for those who have been participants in my campaigns for a long time, you guys know that I like sending out maps and occasional props to groups when I can find a good prop to handle. One of the things I would like to develop further is actually sending out more of those interactive props where you have something in your hands, as opposed to simply online stuff. It's a more tangible thing to have and interact with than just, oh, it's a virtual D&D. If you have that map, for those of you who got the annual mailer this year, you guys have a map of Toivoa that you have on parchment. The rag paper feels nice. You can always pull it up and reference it and be like, oh, Eric's talking about this place over here. I see that's where the city is, that sort of thing. I love sending out those things. For Stranger Things in Briar Glen, we sent out slide whistles because they had a neighborhood watch who had slide whistles. The train wreck has gotten the keys to a house before. I want to be able to send out more of those. And over the past 2 months, I have been setting myself up for success on that. I don't want to reveal what I've been doing, but it is an aspect of the business that I want to improve on. And I am very actively in the works doing so. It is, and I do mean exceedingly active. There may be an announcement in the next 2 weeks if I can swing it. But I'm going to go ahead and show you guys a spoiler because this is kind of fun. So I'm going to take the camera and we're going to sneak over to right there. And then we're just going to go ahead and move the camera back. So that thing is going to help me out with what I'm looking to do. For those who don't recognize what that is something that I'm going to be using in the future. So be aware of that. The studio is coming along nicely. I've been working hard in order to be able to do this. So there's some cool things coming up. I'm super excited to share. But yeah, as far as the business standpoint, what's something I would want to improve? I want to improve the interactivity for the players. I want to make it more interactive and more tangible. As far as the story goes and props go, I think the story's in a good place. The props need always improvement. It's always about improving. The moment I stop improving on being a GM, this whole thing falls apart and I got to go get a job somewhere else. My focus will always be on my players, my campaign, the story. It's you guys that are absolutely the key to my business. Without you guys, the whole thing falls apart. I would love to improve merchandising. I'd love to be able to sell more t-shirts and stuff. And I've been working on that on the social media side. There's a campaign that's coming up soon. For those who don't know my brother, Alex. Okay, guys, real talk. I have 3 brothers, Joel, Alex, and Brad. And they're all exceedingly different. I have a sister named Yvette. But my 3 brothers have very different skill sets. And my brother Alex is a marketing manager for a construction company. and he has been helping me out, and he's going to help me with the marketing campaign coming up. And we're trying to get merchandising set up so that the merchandise that I do offer on my website, including T-shirts and notepads, etc., we're going to try to push those more, along with some more products that come with that secret thing I just showed you. So, yeah, things are going there. As far as the social media stuff, what helps the company the most? Sharing and comments. If you guys see the announcement posts, hit like on them. Like, seriously, hit like on them. Share them to your friends. Be like, hey, look, this is a cool one. This sucks. Comment on it. Troll me. I don't give a crap. If you troll me, it brings engagement. If you guys want to like the stuff and comment that this is a good one, do so. Any engagement helps me out socially. It gets the word out there about the service, and it allows the people to see what I'm doing. And I hope that the GM tips are helpful to GMs. As of yesterday, I am starting to do GM tips for players. So those of you who watched the GM tip yesterday got a GM tip for players. So I'm going to start doing some of those as well. So hope that answers that question for you, Tay. Getting to the next Patreon person here. All right. The next Patreon person is going to be Hunter Zorro. Awesome. Cool. What would you want more out of your players? RP, less metagaming, staying on task, etc. Honestly, gonna be brutally honest. My players are freaking awesome. Like, I am one of the most gifted GMs. I have GM'd for literally hundreds of people over my career. Across all the groups, every one of my players is amazing. And yes, I do vet my players before I allow them to come into my campaigns. You guys know this. For every single person who's always been in my campaigns, I always am like, hey, let's talk about, are you going to be a good fit? What are you looking from me from a GM point, etc. My players are amazing, and I am so thankful that you guys are in the groups. That said, I thought long and hard on this. I thought on this question for days, and I wanted to come up with an answer. So, of these things, none of those. Those things are great. My players are great on those. The one thing that I would love to see my players do more of, and some of them do a great job on this, but I would love to see more of the assisting of other characters in combat, etc. Not necessarily in the, oh, I'm doing the help action, but more of, hey, I'm going to set you up so that we do a combo wombo. If you guys watch the Awesome Blossoms, Mio and Bodhidharma had this going like gangbusters. If you guys watch some of the Awesome Blossoms groups, those guys have it down. Dave and Dustin have been playing together for 4.5 years, and those guys are in sync. Right now, Ray, who is going to be playing Fuwa, yes, the real character's name, Fwiw, Fuwa, is going to be playing with Dave as well. So Ray and Dave are going to be playing characters that are going to be interacting well. And that dynamic builds RP, it builds more engaging combat, builds repertoire and engagement across the group. Everyone gets involved when someone does this. So I'd love to see more combo wombos for the various party members working together, either through just RP during combat of, hey, good hit, or, you know, that was an awesome swing. Instead of keeping it out of character, embrace it in character. People will enjoy it more. You'll have more fun. Oh, Amor and Rose? Absolutely, yeah. Amor and Rose, Echo, and his entire damn party, because he's a freaking kobold. We've been seeing a lot of it from Mordrax on Sunday mornings. Mordrax is sitting there running around doing stuff for everybody. It's a ton of fun to see that, and I encourage it. I think it's the one thing that we need to see more of across the groups that would just build RP. Taking something that someone's doing and building on it is key to great role play. If you watch Whose Line Is It Anyway or anything like that, every time someone's like, this and then this and suddenly you're building a wall of role play. I love that stuff. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So that's the answer to that question. I hope that answers it. So check that out. Something to try out. All right. Now we're done with all the Patreon questions. Yay! So now we go to the start of the non-Patreon questions. All right. And we're doing pretty good. We're only 40 minutes in. We're doing fat stuff. All right. Next question comes from Zoya Featherborn from Mayorus. What is your process for creating new worlds, gods, and NPCs? My process for creating new gods, NPCs, etc., worlds, etc., is super complicated, but I basically start off with a concept of where I want to play. What kind of setting would Eric, as a player, want to get in and play around in? I just like, hey, if I'm going to create a game, what interests me? What's engaging to me? What kind of mysteries and gods and NPCs would I want to interact with? What would I find engaging? And then I look at my players and I'm like, okay, if I'm sitting here and I am going to be playing, let's say, the Feywatch, what kind of Fey creatures would they find interesting? Fairies? Sure, of course. Dryads? All right, Dryads are interesting. They're Fey creatures. Werewolves? Okay. Vampires don't fit, but we're going to throw other Fey creatures. So I focus on what the players are looking for and what I would find interesting within that setting. So mazes, puzzles, that sort of thing. So that's kind of where I'm at. So I hope that answers. Welcome, Jay Ryan. How you doing, Jay Ryan? I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. I'm just answering questions for the community of GM Eric. I run 7 campaigns a week, and I posted the availability for people to ask questions, and we're answering a ton of those. But yeah, the latest question is, what is your process for creating new worlds, gods, and NPCs? I'm a full-time GM. I do this for a living, and I love my players, and we're just running through some of their questions. I just finished all the Patreon ones, and we're knocking out some of the others. So I hope that answers your question, Zoya. But yeah. So the next question is invalid, but we will cover it anyway because this is self-referential. Sweet August Rose, also known as Mike or Breezy, asks the question that everyone knows she's going to ask. Who is the cutest mage in Toivoa? Breezy. Why? Well, frankly, she's the only girl mage in Toivoa right now. So that's pretty much it. Today she was the cutest giant ape in Toivoa. For those who didn't watch today's session of Beneath Fallen Skies, Breezy got converted into a giant ape in order to keep her from dying at the hands of Mozarath. Mozalath. And thanks to Mordrax's help, which, again, combo wombo thing like we were talking about, converting Breezy into a giant ape in order to keep her alive instead of being corrupted, super handy, and kept Breezy alive, and she lives at least until next week. So it was really, really good. So the answer to who is the cutest mage in Toivoa, the official answer is she'd say that it's Breezy, but really it's Breezy, primarily because there aren't a ton of cute mages. There is a cute mage that is coming. I have the art for her, but I'm not sharing it yet. So look for that coming eventually. And yeah, it was such a play, Esnir. It was really, really cool. And yeah, it allowed Breezy to put out a ton of bludgeoning damage while sitting in corruption and being corrupted by magical fluids. It was gross. But good job, Mordrax, doing that. That was really cool. All right, next question is, if a player's wish at the end of the campaign was for their character to gain the ability to break the fourth wall, would you grant it, or would you let them wish again for something different? This question comes from Zoya Featherborn from Mayorus. Um, Primarily, for those who don't understand, when I had run a campaign and we get to the very end, I like to give a GM boon to the players for their characters. It's kind of an epilogue thing where we're like, what happens to your character after this? Is there something you would ask the dungeon master for your character? It's a lot of fun to just be like, okay, we take all the gloves off and then we're just going to give you a no strings attached wish for your character. What would happen? I need to take another drink of water. I'm sorry, guys. Been talking. So, as far as the ability to break the fourth wall, yeah, granted. However, it would need to be super situational. It would need to be the right character for the job. It would need to be very specific. And it's not something I would grant to everybody because it's not something that really is fun long term in large doses. It's occasionally fun, but as far as long term, no, it's not. Like, it works for Deadpool, it works for Howard the Duck. There's a couple others that it works for, but in small doses, that's nice. But when you're talking about the immersion of a D&D game where the group wants to focus on the lore and what's going on in the game, having a character break the fourth wall really breaks things and it ruins the fun for people. So I would discourage it highly and I would give them another opportunity to choose something different. But I could see a potential case for there being a character who could fit that role. I just don't know any of them right now in any of the games except for potentially Bodhidharma. Bodhidharma would actually be a lot of fun to break the fourth wall with. So I hope that answered that question for you, Zoya. Next question. Here we go. Next question. What or who inspired you to create GM Eric's gaming experiences? Well, it's story time with GM Eric. Originally, I was working at the very start of this business. I was working for a company called Nightwatch Games. They're an amazing game shop here in San Antonio. Absolutely fabulous. They have a themed restaurant in store. They have amazing tables. They have giant dogs. I worked for them as the night manager. I opened for them on the weekends. I worked at night. Beautiful game store. Like nothing you guys have ever seen before at any other tabletop store. Nightwatch Games is an experience to go visit. They sell plate armor. You can go get suits of chainmail. If you want bows, you can go get a bow. You can go get swords, LARP clothing, themed restaurants, etc. It is amazing. But COVID hit, and COVID hit hard, and the game shop had to shut down. And they were going to be shut down for 3 months. And I came home, and I was told, hey, you need to do something. And my wife said, why don't you GM? You're good at it. And I'm like, all right, sure. I'll give it a shot. And so, yeah, my wife is the one who told me to do it. The inspiration for it comes from a guy named John Fuller, who was a part-time GM at Nightwatch. He ran one game on Sunday afternoons, and he charged $10 per person for the game, and he only got half of the money. So he was getting like $30 for an evening of D&D, and he's super nice guy. Amazing GM, severely underpaid for what he does. Great guy. I would love to play in another one of his games. Seriously. If John's out there watching this, thank you, John Fuller. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Without his inspiration, I wouldn't have tried this. Without my wife's instruction, I wouldn't have tried this. For those who know Jim from the Tuesday night group, Jim and his wife Aaliyah seeded the business with $100 of money in order to pay for the Roll20 subscription originally. That's the only investment anyone's ever done in GM Eric's gaming experiences. The business has been without debt the entire damn time. We are in the black on everything. Everything is cash flowed for the business. There is no debt on GM Eric's at all. But as far as the GMing, my wife told me to do it. Happy wife, happy life. And John Fuller is the one who showed me that it could be done, really. There's another guy named Arcadum who streams on Twitch. And whatever you think of Arcadum, that's up to you. But he and I, we knew each other back before he got big. And I knew he did it, and he started the interest in me actually doing this. But that was years and years ago. So just a variety of people, but necessity was the big one. Was COVID hit, I couldn't get a job anywhere else, and people tell me I'm good at this, so I'm doing it. So I hope that answers that question for Zoya. Next question is for from Damon, and we're going to go ahead and switch to that question here. You have 5 minutes to build a character for an upcoming one-shot. What's your go-to class, subclass, and what's your go-to class or subclass? I could play this in my sleep build. My go-to class, if someone's like, hey, Eric, come play in a D&D game now, I am instantly going to play a Tavern Brawler Monk. And I am just going to go in, and I'm going to play the goriest, worst character you've ever thought of. I'm going to be playing a lawful evil, absolutely badass monk who's going to take your crap and beat the tar out of you with either your friends or the furniture. That's my build. That's what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to go in there and I'm just going to screw weapons, screw items. If you're going to give me items, I'm getting a cloak of protection, I'm getting a luck stone, and maybe some rations. And that's pretty much it. Some potions of healing, maybe. But yeah, it's a Tavern Brawler Monk. I'm going to come in there, maybe some fighter in there if I want to mix it up. But I grab things, I beat you up with things. I don't care about items. Let's go. So, yeah, Matilda does make a lot more sense. She is a lot of fun. Matilda has gotten some coaching from me, and now that she's embracing her wild side, Matilda is a lot of fun to just watch. And she plays full fighter. She doesn't play monk. But if I were to hop in and do a one-shot, Tavern Brawler Monk fighter, that's where it's at, man. I absolutely love it. It's great. So check that out. If you guys just need to throw together a character that is practically brainless as far as mechanics go, it just has flavor coming out the oodles, Tavern Brawler Monk is where it's at for flavor without needing to worry about mechanics. Everything's improvised. Everything's a weapon. Grab something and beat someone up with it. Flavor galore. So that's where I am for my 5-minute character, and probably doing like 2 minutes for that character, maybe less, because it's literally just you roll dex, wisdom, dump all your points into dex, wisdom, and con, just so you have hit points, and then just run in, grab crap, and have fun. You throw this build into an amusement park, it's so crazy. You throw this character anywhere other than a flat desert with no decorations and nothing, like a parking lot. A parking lot is the worst place for this character to be. Other than that, I'm going to have fun with whatever it happens to be around. So that's my build. A flat parking lot with no sand is the real thing. So the next question. Thanks, David, for the question. I hope that answered that for you. For those who have run into Mariposa, she is based off of that. I have a insert character somewhere in Toivoa that has this build. All right. So, next question comes from A Bit of Venom, one of our newer spectators here on Twitch, and he's been watching Friday Night Lights a lot over on YouTube. If you guys want to go reply to him on YouTube, he's up to like session 20 something on YouTube's archives of the Friday Night Lights. So go check out Bit of Venom. He's a really cool guy. How long did it take for you to feel comfortable to open your world to players? This was a great question. And it's a question that most GMs don't really think about, because by the time you're doing this high level stuff, you've already opened your world to players. However, I thought long and hard in order to actually come up with an answer on this. And I want to go back to my notes. So I've been GMing for years and years. I am 46 years old. I've been playing D&D and role-playing games for 38 years. I started when I was 8 years old. And I remember not being comfortable opening the world to players. I remember just, the world has to be my way, or my NPC can't have this happen to them, or you can't hurt that wall. The wall resists it. Whatever. I remember being that way. And I would want to say that it was around the time that I got to be about 16 and that I started opening up. It took like 8 years of role playing. Now, I wasn't doing it professionally, and I wasn't role playing every week. But yeah, it took a long time to be comfortable with people influencing the situation around and having the freedom to be who they want to be. As far as doing it professionally and being open to people influencing the world, dude, day one, people come in and they're like, all right, day one of the Alley Rats, which was the first of the campaigns. Actually, sorry, Misfits of Mayhem. Misfits of Mayhem were the first campaign. Alley Rats were the second campaign. Alley Rats came in and they're like, all right, well, I'm going to plant a bomb inside the stable in Cormyr. And I'm like, what? Dude, okay, fine. So they actually messed things up session one for their entire group, which is fun. And it's a lot of fun to let people have that freedom. Without that freedom, the players have no player agency. And what's the point of coming in and playing D&D? You can go play Baldur's Gate 3, and you've got the nice little box of what you're doing. D&D as a whole is about the freedom for the players to do something different. If you don't let them do that, it's no fun. So as far as me allowing people to come in and influence the world, if I'm not doing it, I'm doing it wrong. The players need the freedom to absolutely leap things up. Absolutely. And as a GM, my job is simply to be like, all right, well, you did that. How do all the rest of the people in the entire world react? If no one cares, okay, not a big deal. If you ate the cookie off of the shelf, no one cares. However, if you set this dragon free, or you freed the egg from this specific place and it turned into Vagrodan, or something like that might have happened during the Legend Reborn campaign last summer, maybe things like that can influence things. Just saying. But yeah, you need to be open to letting the players absolutely control your world and have a lot of fun with it, and simply build challenges. It's not my world. That's the biggest thing. It's not Eric's world. It's the world that Eric runs for the players. That's it. I create challenges and stories that the players explore and interact with. That's it. It is not for me. Okay? So just tossing it out there. And no, you could not have fixed Vagrodan. He was corrupted already. You can ask the Feywatch as to why, because they found out this past Saturday night. Ha! Last night, actually. So, they found out. We did lore last night about as to why. Anyway, how long did it take for me to feel comfortable opening my world to players? Been comfortable for a couple decades now. So hope that answers the question for you. A bit of Venom. All right. Next question. And yes, I am getting enthusiastic on some of these questions. Too bad. Next question. Do you have a favorite NPC? Do you have an NPC modeled after yourself in the game? I did. I don't anymore. And the reason is not due to anything I've done or what the players have done. I am not the same person I was. Zutono Sherez was originally my character. He was a self-insert that I did, gosh, it would have been now 15 years ago before I did this professionally. He was my character. I have his original character sheet in the filing cabinet. And I love the character. I think he's engaging, but he has grown so much. His story has developed and changed. His personality has changed over the years. He was originally this super effeminate guy who wasn't confident in his own skin and wanted to influence everybody else and stick his nose in everybody else's business, and eventually just started getting people killed because he thought he knew the right thing to do and didn't. And so I'm no longer that person, and he's no longer that person either, but we've gone different ways. It's a very different character now. He has a life of his own. He has a kid. He has a family. They're really dysfunctional, but there's a story there that has developed over the years, and it's no longer me. Should I include someone like that in my games? I think it would be fun to do. However, I would have a hard time doing it because then it becomes my character and my story, and that's not what I'm here for. What I'm here for as a GM is for you guys as players. This is not about me. This is about you guys coming in, having a good time, getting distracted from work, real life, whatever's going on in your lives. I'm here to entertain you guys, distract you from whatever is going on outside of the D&D world. It's not about me. This is a service for you guys, and the moment I forget that, the whole thing falls apart. So, will I put someone in there that is a self-insert? No, I won't. Will I put people who are aspects of me in there? Absolutely, yeah, I will. Absolutely. I'd be foolish not to. It's so much easier to roleplay as an aspect of yourself that you may not like, or maybe you do like, but by embracing the aspect of yourself and being like, this is a thing about me that is real, the roleplay for that character comes out more. For example, the museum curator down in the central wall, he is this kind of snooty person who really wants to educate everybody, and he's super jovial. He's an introvert to all hell. He's kind of a self-insert in that aspect. Agnes Farboiler is a self-insert to a degree. So there's all these different aspects that you got to remember. Is there a direct self-insert currently in the campaign setting? No. There's not. There's not. Ronaldus Basil is a little bit of it. There's parts you draw from what you know and you embrace it. Honestly, if I were to visit Agnes Farboiler for a retail establishment, man, he's the kind of customer service guy I'd like. And I'm weird that way, I know. But I am the guy who shows up at the cash register and I've got my exact change and I'm ready to go. I'm in and out, gone. I'm not the person who writes the check and double checks everything. So, yeah. Anyway, favorite NPC. Favorite NPC right now. Gosh, favorite NPC right now. Favorite NPC to play? It's probably Kerfix, frankly, and he's not even mine. Kerfix was played originally by Jen, the person who introduced me and my wife. And Kerfix is just too damn fun because he's changed completely. He's no longer the same character. But Kerfix is a lunkhead, and I am so far into his head as a character that he's super easy to play. The fact that Kerfix is missing right now is a big deal. Now, good luck with that. Anyway, favorite character to play as an NPC right now would probably be Kerfex. All right. Next question comes from Jimmery. And this is a bit of a tongue twister. How many bears would Bugbear hypothetically went to Bugbears? Barely any. Next question. I'm not going to give full answers on all of these guys. All right. Next question is also from Jim Marie. How do you find the balance in campaigns between addressing the backstories of the characters involved? This was hard. I like to engage people's backstories. I really do. I think that the characters' backstories are something that really drives people and builds roleplay and more story. The problem is that with 6 people, or 7 in the case of the train wreck, you can't cover everyone's backstory constantly. So what you got to do as a GM is realize I can't cover everybody and I can't make everybody happy all the time. You shine the light on people's characters and their story. You find out how everybody in the party interacts with that story. You want to make sure that everyone is involved in how they feel about the situation, how they help their friends in these challenges for their backstory. And as a GM, when you're writing for these encounters and where you're going to direct the party to, if they're going to take these hooks, you make sure that the people who are being targeted less get highlighted more. If someone isn't having a lot of story in their direction, have a hook that is like, hey guys, you should check this one out over here. Or maybe you should check this over here. Maybe things are going on that people don't realize that we are sneaking in. But there are characters in the campaigns who actively are running from their backstories right now. And yeah, there is an absolute massive dodging of the plot hooks sometimes because they're running from their backstories. And that's fine because I keep the backstory running when you guys aren't engaged with it. So running away from your backstories is just going to make it worse, just like in real life. I will tell you that there is a certain black ship somewhere on the high seas of Toivoa that is looking for someone and something. And that someone is avoiding it. Hardcore. Just a second. Mysterious intentionally. All right. We are going. Yeah, Destiny is a river and it washes to and fro. All right. So, next question. Here we go. Da-da. How do you determine the adjustment of enemies when not using the stat block as is? This is experience. And you can't use the same monster for every group. I have groups where if I threw 5 kobolds, it'd be a TBK. I have other groups that would one-shot the entire group of kobolds. Let's take, for example, Beneath Fallen Skies. Beneath Fallen Skies, for the most part, can AoE things down crazy at the front of an encounter. At the back end of an encounter, Beneath Fallen Skies is a single target machine. They're amazing. Whereas, let's say Awesome Blossoms are going to have a hard time against a swarm. And so I have to be very careful with my monster selection, either using the stat block as is or not, because once I set the challenges, I don't change them. It's not fair to you guys for me to change the encounter once you guys are in it. It's going to confuse you. It's going to suck. It's going to be bad for the story. You guys are in there. How do I test it? I grab your character sheets and I play this session myself, frankly, to see if I can live through it. And if you guys have a hard time, sometime, if I have a hard time using your character sheets to succeed, you'll probably have a hard time with it. However, quite often my players surprise me, and it's a lot of fun to see those surprises come through. So, how do I determine what's cool or not? I play test. I play test a lot. Um, you'd be a little shocked at how often I go through and I'm like, all right, what would Walker on the Toyota train wreck do? What would Bryn Gemflower do in these situations? What would he talk to his party about potentially working on? Go through the process of what states these things do. Today, Mozalath's character sheet, he ignores difficult terrain. And they cast spike growth, and he's like, I don't care. So, just playtesting. That's the big thing, is playtesting and having a bit of fun with it. Also, designing environments is the big thing. Also, you want to make an engaging environment where the players realize, hey, there's more to this than just I roll dice, you take damage. You want to have different functionalities, like today's Mozalath, where his entire thing was, I'm a bully, I'm going to give everybody corruptive swirlies. Drag people over to the river and dunk them until they mutate into creatures he can control. It's much more engaging if the players are suddenly like, oh, we got to stay away from this area, otherwise we're going to, not be able to heal. So, uh, yeah, that's kind of where that's at. I hope that answers the question for you, Jim Marie. All right. Okay. And I can't sing, guys. I'm sorry. Breezy was originally going to try and curse him when he was grappled, but she didn't because she has good wisdom save and bench resistance. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. All right, next question. Do you tailor it like these fools are going to smash their faces into things and now they shall learn, or more like these fools overthink everything, so more puzzles it will be? No. As a GM, my job is not to frustrate the players. My job is to present challenges that are engaging and fun. I have groups that love puzzles. I have players who hate puzzles. Across all the groups right now, all 7 of my groups love puzzles. All of them. All 7 groups love puzzles. I have individual players in those groups who do not love puzzles. And so I mix up the content for a night. Instead of having 4 hours of, hey guys, you guys are going to be stuck doing puzzles the whole damn time, which I can do. I absolutely could do. I know how to develop all that content. It's not hard. It's actually pretty damn fast. I need to drink some water, guys. Sorry. I could create that content where it's just puzzles, puzzles, puzzles. It's not fun for some of those players. So you mix it up. You mix things so where it's a puzzle and some combat. You interact things, some skippable stuff, some RP. You develop content for the group to ensure that everyone in the group is engaged and having fun. As opposed to simply being like, what's easy for Eric? What's easy for Eric is just RP. Hey, if you guys just want to sit down and RP all damn night, that's easy. Creating the maps and creating the other content, the puzzles, the graphics, etc. That's harder stuff. It's not hard. It's just time consuming and creatively draining, which I love doing. It's why I do this for a living. It's great. If I didn't like it, I'd go do something else. Thank you for the hydrate, Alina. All right. How much did you kiss? I don't know, Tyro. How much did you kiss? All right. So, like, you've missed like 30 questions or something, Tyro. All right. Okay. Next question. Will there ever be additions to the map of Toivoa? More continents? Yes. For those who didn't notice, on September 7th, I started using the new map, something like that. I want to say, I can find out the exact date, but sometime in the past month, I've started using a new map that has new continents on it, and yeah, there's more coming. So that should answer that question specifically for Sweet August Rose. Thank you, Mike. All right. But yeah, there's more continents coming, and I actually have an idea for something new coming that I'm working with one of my sages on. So be ready for that when it comes. I'm super excited, and I'll tell you who's most excited for it. That's Zach, who plays Ruzin on Wednesday nights. He's going to be super excited for that. Go ask him what he wants Eric to do. Number one thing for improving, he'll tell you what I'm doing because he has no idea, but he knows what he's talking about. All right, next one. Hello, Zach. Yeah, let's just say that it starts with the letter F. Um, it's, no, it's we're not going to tell you. We're going to let Sealder sit there, and I'm going to be working with him. I will work with him. I've actually got to send him a message because I need him to give me a couple of things. I'm going to talk to Sealder later this week about it. But yeah, he's going to be involved. No, fuck ton of dragons, not yet. A fiction? No, not a fiction. Food? Yeah, there's always food involved, guys. For those who don't know my games, I love food. Man, we got 20 viewers on here. Hi, everybody. Welcome. We're doing an AMA. I'm a professional GM that does 7 campaigns a week. Come hang out, have fun. They're all streamed here on Twitch. We have an absolute blast. I have one of the best communities in the entire world. The people who are hanging out in chat right now are amazing. So, yeah, come hang out. It's doing great. We're just doing an AMA. I do these about twice a year. So come hang out. Floating continents. We already have those coming. No, Jungle Cat. I'm not doing that one. The Fallopian Tube Monster. No. That happens every 4 weeks. Sorry, not sorry. All right, moving forward. Why is Farboiler so angry? Is it just an actor? Is he actually hateful? Yes, Jungle Cat is cured by chocolate and wine. Yes. And you guys absolutely are terrible. And I love you guys so much. All right, why is Farboiler so angry? Is it just an actor? Is he actually hateful? Farboiler is not hateful. Farboiler hates having his time wasted. If you want to get on Agnes Farboiler's good side, bring your shopping list. Have your exact change. Know the prices. Get in and get out. Stop wasting his time. He's not there to talk to you. He wants to get you efficiently out of his store so he can help the next damn customer. That's who Agnes Farboiler is. If you don't like him, in his mind, bleep you. As far as people who he likes, he loves a couple of the player characters. Saphira walks in there. He's like, hello, welcome. What do you need? Saphira says, these are the potions I need. And they walk out. And they're gone. This is perfectly fine. Loves that customer. It's not everybody. But Agnes is not actually hateful. He's hateful of people who waste his time. And so, yeah, that's Agnes Farboiler. So he's not actually angry. He's angry at people who waste his time. If you're in there and you do your thing, get in, get out, he's going to be nice to you. Yeah, it's kind of like the soup Nazi from Seinfeld, but not quite as nice. All right. Next one. Have you ever allowed a magic item that was too powerful or broken? If so, how did you handle it? Remove it from the game with DM powers tell the players to nerf it, or talk to the players to nerf it, or have an NPC steal it. The most recent one of these, and Casimir knows about this, I made a mistake. And I handed out a +3 weapon to a group that should be getting +1 items. And so I sent him a message, hey dude, I'm going to let you keep this for 3 or 4 sessions, 5 sessions, but we're going to make it someone else's, and they're going to ask for it back. The elephant from the Friday Night Lights group, absolutely broken creature, and I can just kill it. But that's not as fun as being like, look, it's going to sink your ship. Things like that. The Gambler's Sword is what we're talking about for Chechikins. Yeah. Cassius. Yeah, Cassius was absolutely broken AF. Especially with that group where they're like, we're just going to funnel everything into Cassius and he's just going to stomp it all. We let them play with it for a while. It's fun to have powerful items. It's fun to have powerful abilities. Let them use them. Another one would be some of the stuff that Echo Rex had. But we had those as story items that needed to be gifted over in order to resurrect Maria Rosie. So we did through story. I like removing things through story as opposed to being like, nope, we delete that. Or we're going to destroy this because Eric said so. That's not fun. The better way as GM is to do that through story. So I highly, highly prefer removing things through story and interactions. And thanks another hydrate. And no, Jimmy doesn't need a +3 weapon. He's pretty damn effective as he is. If you didn't watch today's session, he absolutely wrecked Mesolith's face. So thank you, Anthony, for the question, Sison. Appreciate that. I hope that answered the question. I prefer doing it through story. I have had to do it through other means before, but my preference is to do it through story. All right, next question. What's a theme or idea for a custom spell which you've always wanted to add into D&D, but you haven't been able to properly balance or put the time into making? So I thought about this one because the vast majority of the ones that I've wanted to do, I have done. But the big one is I'm a huge fan of the Legend of the Five Rings series of books and card games. For those who played L5R back in the day, or didn't, L5R was a card game, trainable card game, where you could actually influence the story of books based off of your play at tournaments. And massive game, loved L5R. They had 2 builds within L5R that I absolutely enjoyed as story beats, and one was the Blood Speakers. They're Japanese fantasy blood mages that influence people's minds and bodies using dark magic and blood rituals. Really dark stuff. They can scry and divine things. A lot of Leslie's powers are kind of based off of that, and I'm slowly working that into Toivoa. I've got a wizard subclass now for the Consortium Witch where we're dabbling with that. Tyra's going to be playing that going forward. But I'd like to develop that further into an actually full class. We did some playtesting on Discord for it, and it kind of fizzled. I have the subclass built, but no one's played it, so it's a thing. The other one is the Nezumi from L5R, which were 8 foot tall rat people, and just strong samurai honorable ratlings. If you guys are familiar with Warhammer lore, they're like good Skaven. So they are really cool, but they have a magic called name magic, where everything's based off of people's names and using various recordings of what has happened to someone. And they could literally say, oh, their powerful mages could be like, and Bob took damage. And they chew it into a stick. And because they wrote it down, Bob now suffers damage and has scars. It was just fact saying and history magic. Really cool stuff. It is super strong in certain circles, in certain RPs, which is why Wizards of the Coast doesn't do it. And it's hard to balance, but I'd love to be able to do that. And yeah, a rat cowboy named 5 would be absolutely amazing. True name stuff is really cool, but it is super hard to balance. But yeah, Sayson, Anthony, thanks for the question. I hope that answered that. All right. Next one. Hope we go fast enough here. This one's kind of long, so we're going to go and shrink the text here. Yard! Because this question was asked on Talk Like a Pirate Day, which GM Eric celebrates every year. So, heads up. Excuse me. Yard, do there be any world-shaping events occurring at the moment that have nothing to do with any of the adventuring parties currently active? Things like pillaging coastal cities, rampaging maladies, or black-hearted villains that have not been detected by the PCs? Yes. And they've been detected by the PCs and not investigated. And they're out there and they're doing things. They were last seen this Saturday morning. This past Saturday morning. There was a black ship on the horizon that got seen with green lights next to it and disappeared over the horizon. So it's out there. There's a couple other things that are currently going on, mostly in other countries than where you guys are currently at, that are affecting things. But yeah, there's definitely stuff. So I'm sure it's nothing. You guys will be fine. Don't worry about it. It's the next campaign that we'll have to worry about that. You guys are okay. All right, so yes, the answer to that question is yes, there is. I'm not telling you what they are because that would be spoilers. Thank you for the hydrate, Tyro. Thank you, Mike, for the question. Yeah, that was Sweetest Rose Breezy. Oh, good. Oh, good. I appreciate it. So, next question comes in. What's a really cool event, character, place that you set up to connect with a player's backstory which was never found due to character death, players leaving, the campaign ending, etc.? This question comes from Anthony or Sayson. Well, there is a character by the name of Kava. If you go look at Amer's character sheet, he has Kava's sword. Kava is a dragonborn who is half undead and originally was intended to be the main BBEG of a campaign called Improvised Awesomeness. The dragonborn player character was known as Losin Bolus, who currently runs the 7 stories, not the 4 stories, chat sheet, but the 7 stories in Ryport, because he didn't think 4 was enough. So he wrote the 7 story, he changed it to the 7 stories in Ryport. And Losin Bolus was originally a player character, and the campaign ended just due to lack of participation. The schedules just didn't work out. And Losin's story is still a thing. I have it actively running in the background, similar to the last question, within Toivoa. But Kava and Losin Bolus, that is a entire storyline that I would love to get into and delve deeper into. And it's going to be resurfacing at some point in one of the groups, and I'm not telling you which one. But Kava is going to become more of a main character once again. Because she's not permanently dead, Amer. So, just be aware of that. Yeah, Dave, you guys killed Kava years ago in a different campaign? Yep. That was the Misfits of Mayhem. She died like a waste of skin she was. Yes. Kava was scary. Yep. And she is getting even badasser and I have new art for her as well. So beware. Yeah. Yeah. So I hope that answers your question there, Anthony. Hope that helped. All right. So next one. The comma that the Misfits dealt with was Pincushion that just got killed. Kava for the Spirit Side Fellowship was much worse, and the new Kava is even worse. So beware if you run into Kava, it's going to be a big deal. Yes, Mingus, Kava died in an alley like a chump. And welcome, Mingus. Welcome, Dave. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Glad you guys can make it. We've answered most of your questions already because we did the Patreon questions at the front. And so you guys came first. Next question comes from Sweet Honest Rose Breezy / Chachikins. What be your plans for the future in regards to 2014 rules versus 2024 rules? Well, for the time being, we are going to be running 2014 rules. There is one character who is currently going to be running one of the spells from the 2024 rules in the 2014 games, specifically True Strike. The new True Strike is actually interesting and kind of balanced. So they're going to try using that. We're going to see. I will tell you that that person plays in the Tuesday night group, and we're going to see what that spell's like. But as far as the core rules of 2024, the fact that they did errata even before the books arrived is concerning, and there are some amazingly broken things immediately accessible at the start. Will I be running some one-shots with it? Yeah. In fact, it's likely that the holiday one-shots this year are going to be all done in 2024 rules. So you're ready for that, guys. I also want to run some one-shots coming up with 24 rules, like tutorial games, character building games, etc. So we're going to test it out, give it a try. If we started a new campaign, if someone TPK'd and we started a new campaign, I would present the option to the players of using them or not. As far as GM goes, from my perspective, not a big deal. There's going to be some learning curve for the abilities and spells. Character creation is pretty much simple. But as far as the role-playing aspect of it as a GM, role-playing it's easy peasy, not a big deal. Running the story is cake. Not concerned about that at all. But for the mechanics of it, we're going to stick with 2014 rules for the time being until either we start a new campaign or we do a one-shot, because transitioning in the middle is not possible. As much as people have asked me about it, it is not a feasible thing without absolutely breaking your characters. And I do mean breaking them badly. So, no, we're not going to do that. Yeah, that answers the question. Next one from A Bit of Venom. Which rules from the game are you most unfamiliar with, i.e., two-weapon fighting, spreading rumors, cost of housing, etc.? And I had to think about this. And so I had to think about it like, what am I really bad at? And the big thing I'm really bad at as far as the rules of the game is mundane items. The ones that actually have a gold cost set in the book and how much those things weigh. I have no idea. You guys, if you guys were to ask me, hey, how much does a saddle weigh? I'm going to have to go look it up. How much does a spear weigh? No clue. I don't know. Do I look those up all the time? Heck yeah. Do I have tables for it? Yeah. Do I memorize those? Nope. Not a chance. So mundane items are my weakness when it comes to the rules. Mundane items, their values and weights is the hard thing. How much does a hen weigh? Hen weighs, well, that depends on the hen. Like, my wife had a chicken that weighed like 20 pounds. So, that's a good question. All right, so I hope that answers for A Bit of Venom the question. All right, now, this one's going to be fun. You guys are going to love this question. All right, and this one comes from Sweet August Rose slash Chachikins. Has anyone ever been foolish enough to try to cheat, steal, defraud from Judith? Yes. 3 people have tried to rob, steal, defraud, lie to Judith. 2 of them learned their lesson. And the last one isn't around anymore. I'll just leave it at that. For the 2 people who have tried, those both would have been in the Oh God's Why campaign. Just saying. It would have been Silas, who is now the Archfey of Time, and the other one was Cass, who some of you have run into. Primarily the train wreck have messed with Cass back in time. So, yeah. Good luck with that. But the one person who's no longer around, they're no longer around for a reason. They pissed her off and tried to attack her, which was not smart. We're not going to go into it. That was a character who wanted to get the party killed and tried to instigate the situation. Yeah. And I'm open to letting Judith get attacked. I'm absolutely open to it. But not for that reason, and not just to get the party killed because you're pissed off at the group. So, no, we just killed the character. Just saying. If you're just trying to ruin the campaign, I'm going to ruin your life. It's not fair to the rest of the players. All right. This also comes from a bit of Venom. Did you manage everything on stream yourself, or do you have a team of moderators? A team? I do not have any moderators at the moment, other than Covet is technically a moderator here on Twitch. However, because she lives somewhere else, she is not able to be online all the time to moderate the sessions in Twitch. As far as the recording stuff and the campaigns and the maps and the stories and puzzles and everything that happens in GM Eric's campaigns, it's me. I do not have a team. I would love to have a team. I have plans to build a team. However, money is a thing, and my goal is to keep my prices low for my clients so that you guys can still afford to play in my games. And so I'm trying to diversify revenue streams through merchandising and other services in order to make sure that I keep my prices affordable while at the same time providing great service and products. Would I love to have a team that made my maps and handled my billing and handled the recording computer? Because I literally have right now in this room 3 computers, 2 that are currently on and 1 that's a backup. But the 2 that are on, one is my primary functioning machine that I run the sessions off of, and the other is the recording machine that I cover my butt on and do all my video editing on. And I don't have anyone helping me. I'd love to have someone. I've considered it, but at the moment, just things haven't aligned for me to be able to do so, because I value people's time and I would want to pay that person in order to A, ensure the commitment to the role, and B, to ensure the quality of the service that they're providing. The moment you're not paying someone, they don't care. So that's where I'm at. Is I'd love to have a team. I don't currently have one. I'm still small time as far as the big picture goes. But I'd love to get to that point. But yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying the services I'm doing. Trying to get better so that we can eventually grow to that point, while still providing the services that you guys deserve as best as possible. Hope that answers for a bit of Venom. All right. Next question comes from Dave. Which player, past or present, has had the most characters permanently die? I went and looked at this. There are I just banged my microphone. I checked, and 3 of them currently have the most character deaths. Permanent deaths are Ray, Dave, and Hunter. Each of them have had 1 permanent character death, where the character did not come back. So yeah, it sucks. But I think Dave is the one who's had the most deaths overall between Bodhidharma, Alwyn, Brock. Just the most deaths, I think, is actually Dave. And there's not a lot of permanent deaths. There's only been like 3 or 4. Bodhi has died several times. Bodhi died several times. Yeah, yes, Dave is pretty badass. I love Dave. I think he's great. Dave's been playing with me for years and years, and I'm always thankful because he's an amazing asset to a group, and he is a blast to have in the team. And yeah, everyone wants to play with him. Absolutely does. How many deaths was that? I believe, Dave, this is actually the next question here. How many deaths was that? I think you're currently at 3 permanent character deaths, if I remember properly. So, yeah. Derek the Generic Cleric was absolutely amazing. If those of you guys who did not watch the one-shot with the Master of Dungeons, Derek the Generic Cleric is an absolute hoot. I love him as a character. He's an absolute blast. And he's also played by Dave. All right. So, next question. Yeah, Bodhi is now currently in limbo. All right. So I was right. 3. Of your past campaigns, which one has synced most closely to your ideal / envisioned play style? Which campaign was the most out there? And this also comes from Dave. And I think what you meant by this was which campaign acted in the way I expected, as opposed to going off the rails. And I think that the campaign that went the most according to where I thought you guys were going to go at the very start was the Misfits of Mayhem. That group kind of just went straight down the rails. Yes, the adventure was very much railroady. It was, hey, we're going to go deal with this specific bad guy, which may appear soon. But we're going to go deal with specific bad guy. We're going to go through these steps, and we're going to achieve this specific goal this certain way. The Misfits of Mayhem kind of were very predictable in their path and what they were doing. Super easy to run as GM. Loved it. The character interactions were great, etc. Off the Wall group. Oh, goodness. Off the Wall group. Oh, I think the most off the wall group would either have to be the Toyvoin Trainwreck, A, because frankly, I have no idea what they're going to do any single time I join the session for the night. Between Ray and Jordan being in there with the rest of the guys, with Justin and Zach and Anthony and Kyle. Walker's like the stabilizing force in that group. Just saying. The Trainwreck is kind of the chaos machine, and I never have an idea what's coming. So if you guys want to see a GM frantically trying to figure out what's coming next, go watch the Trainwreck stuff, because I have no clue what they're going to do next. I have an idea where they're going to end up going and what the end game kind of situation is in those encounters. But how they're going to get there? No idea. I got a message from Justin yesterday, and it's like, hey, Eric, I'd like to do these specific things. And I'm like, what? All right, we'll do those things. All right, fine. So be ready for some really massive curveballs coming in the train wreck because I had no idea we were going in this direction. So be ready. Um, as far as the rest of the groups, let's see. We'll run down to the current campaigns. We'll start on Friday night because that's the start of my week. Friday Night Lights, they're pretty much good to go because they just fill plot holes. And I love them. They're great. They role play. I can pretty much tell you what they're going to do. Thank you for the stretch, Alina. Appreciate that. Us Against the Gods, I've known where they're going for pretty much the entire campaign after we did the player shift, which was like a year ago. Like session 3, they lost half the group and rebuilt. So I've known where they're going pretty much the whole time. I love that group. They're super fun, and I love the role play and how in depth the characters are there. The Feywild, I've kind of had a good idea of where they want to go. They deviate quite a bit here and there. Those guys like to play on the page of the coloring book, but not within the lines. So Feywild is kind of nice and loose. Those guys like to explore and do some stuff. They're tricksy. The Beneath Fallen Skies group, they're kind of on a bit of a linear step right now. When they were above ground, they had some unpredictability aspects, and they will achieve more of that coming up, especially once they get past this damn gate. They're going to have some more options to navigate through and choices to make. The fact that they spent like 6-7 weeks down in the Palace Wind district of Akru and explored and did all the stuff around there, the Palace Wind section, that little map, they explored that far more than I thought they would. And that was nice and surprising as GM because it's fun to have all of my work just explored and had fun with. So that's them. The Spirits End Fellowship. They have had multiple direct lines, but they like jumping tracks. So it's like a whole bunch of railroad tracks. And they're like, we're going to jump over here. We're going to do this one. Choo-choo. And they just go down. I love it. We know which tracks go where, and they just choose which track they're going to switch on to. They don't go very far off those tracks. The Awesome Blossoms group, those guys are pretty loose and free. They're just full on sandboxing at this point. So they're kind of way out there. Not very chaotic because the characters aren't. The characters are very loyal to the players, treat their characters like the characters, and their characters are very predictable as to we understand who this character is, and we're going to follow that character. They're not super chaos gremlins. So yeah. And then the train wreck again. Just good luck holding on, figuring out where the hell we're going. Hope that answered the question for you, Dave. As far as past campaigns, I guess I did answer past campaigns. Past campaigns was the Misfits of Mayhem were probably the most linear one. As far as the most chaotic one's got to be the train wreck. Gotta be. All right, and the last pre-prepared question that I have, because I've answered 42 questions, we're coming up on the 2-hour mark for you guys here. And I will open it up to some chat questions here in a moment. The last question that I have, this one comes from Sweet August Rose / Breezy. Are the Gith, both Yankee and Zerai, present in the Tovoan multiverse? What about Spelljammer type stuff? It exists. It does. In the Astral Sea, there are Spelljammers, and there are Githzerai, Githyanki. There are the Dragon Riders. They are out there, but none of the groups are currently there. There is a player character who is currently there. Marcellinus of the Lost Lore Company is currently engaged in dealings with the Githzerai and Githyanki on the astral plane. So, be ready for Marcellinus to kind of be a bit of a problem at some point. And you guys can thank Joe for this. Joe has decided to play this character that we're going to establish as a problem. And that was his goal for the character. So, yeah, absolutely a delight to have that situation built up. So, yeah, I hope that's helpful, guys. I'm going to go ahead and stick around for a couple moments. Did anyone in chat have any questions that I could answer before we close up for the night? I hope you guys are enjoying this. Yeah, Marcellus was always meant to be a villain, and I'm happy that he gets to continue. And even if you're not playing him, be afraid. What was my favorite question to answer? Probably the lore questions. I enjoy answering the lore questions and the GMeric business stuff. Morgoth, I'm glad you've had fun with it. I hope this has been insightful. Mingus Stew, what's the most unexpected thing that a player has ever done in one of my campaigns? The most unexpected thing a player has ever done in my campaigns. Goodness, the most unexpected thing that a player character has done in my campaigns. The one that sticks out, there's two that stick out. And sadly, they're both self-destructive, but they stick out. The number one would actually, these are kind of tied. So the old one was when Damon, playing Silas, injected an aboleth egg into his arm for a high. He went to a club. The character went to a club. He went and was feeling self-destructive, went to get high and drunk. He went to this skeezy guy and it's like, I don't care what you've got in that needle, stick it in my arm. And the guy's like, okay. And he got injected with an aboleth egg. And he began transforming into an aboleth. This was during the Oh God's Why campaign. And that arc lasted like 9 weeks. As they eventually deified the aboleth whose egg it belonged to and turned him into a demigod. So that was one arc, and that just came from one night of deciding to go get drunk and high and wasted. And it changed the character. The character doesn't do that anymore. He's much more tame. So, yeah. Take care, Chechikins. Thanks for coming. The other one would be the more recent one, where Saphira, absolutely understanding that there were wanted posters for her all over town, decided to go out into town alone without notifying her shipmates, go into town and go find some companionship, and did so alone, knowing that there was danger. I did not expect her to go out and do this, especially after all the warnings of, hey, look, people are looking for you. Here's signs that people are looking for you. You know that they're looking for you. Here's the Daughters of Masaba looking for you. And just decided, let's go. We're going to go do this. We're going to go ahead and get abducted by the Daughters of Masaba. We're going to go ahead and deal with the consequences now. And that lasted 2 months as an arc, as the rest of the train wreck had to go and rescue Saphira from that. The next one would be Saphira running and looking in the mirror at the last trap. This 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, she walks up to the mirror trap that she knows is a mirror trap and goes, I want to see my reflection. It just gets absorbed. No idea. So those would be the two I'd say there. As far as next question, is the Lost Lore Company evil? Sorry. Is there any plan to have more people join the Lost Lore Company other than the consortium as tends to happen? Yes. The Lost Lore Company has been growing. The Lost Lore Company has new members. There are several people involved with that you guys do not know yet. There are characters that are ready to go and ready to be interacted with, other than the people who were actually in the campaign. The Lost Lore Company now has close to 30 people in the organization. As far as is the Lost Lore Company evil? No. The Lost Lore Company is not actively evil. They are neutral. They are lawful neutral. However, their laws are their own. Yeah, Lost Lore Company is very neutral, just people doing jobs, right? Whistles instantly about Saphira like it's not my fault, right? Casimir. Tech Viking asks, what are your top 10 chaotic characters and top 10 supportive characters? PC, not NPCs. Not top 10. I won't do all top 10, but top 5. Saphira is number 1, chaotic. Number 2 would be Tati. Tati is, those two together could just encompass the chaos of everybody. Aimer is number 3. Let's see. Who would be after Aimer? Bodhi Dharma's pretty up there. Bodhi, yeah, he's currently AFK for lack of a better term, but Bodhi's pretty damn chaotic. Merlot has been very chaotic when he was around, so he's up there. Least chaotic, or top 5 supportive characters. Mio of the Awesome Blossoms, probably the number 1 supportive character in any of the campaigns. I think he's like number 1. Current, and I'm going to go off of current characters. Number 2 would have to be Bryn Gemflower. Bryn Gemflower is a support machine. He is built for it. He is Mr. Support. Testuginide is amazing support character. Robert has been playing that character absolutely hardcore, being support and just supporting and enhancing everyone else's play. Great character, absolutely broken abilities. Built the character beautifully. Hell of a time to create challenges for them. Yeah. The Heat Cube's kind of this RP thing that he's playing with to kind of be counter to his support thing, but it is a support thing, and it may save them eventually. And then the 5th one, who would be the 5th one? 5th one, I'm going to actually say Deuce Strong. Guys, if you have not watched Deuce Strom play, I would say that Deuce Strom is probably up there with the top 5 most supportive characters. Mordrax is definitely on that list, but it's like every single thing that Deuce Strom does is supporting it somehow. So, yeah, those would be my 5 that I would say are the most supportive at the moment. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with those. Did anyone have any other questions? I've got another like 2 minutes before we're going to end this thing. Last call. Nope. All right. Then what we'll do is I appreciate all you guys coming out and hanging out. I really do. Again, thank you so much. Oh, my favorite colors? Dude, black with gold. I love black with gold flecks in it. I also like white with gold. That's kind of why all the GM colors are that way. If you guys have ever gotten one of my letters, you've gotten the business cards. Business cards, white and gold, black and gold, with black and gold QR code. If you guys have not seen my business cards, get some correspondence from G-Americ. Business cards come in all of them. So, yeah, I hope you guys like these. These are fun to hand out. They're really pretty too. They're shiny. Yeah. So regular color, as far as regular color, burgundy, which isn't a regular color, but whatever, tough. Um, What's in the kitchen? I did answer that, Tyro. Brad is in the kitchen. Um, yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out. Really appreciate it. And we're going to go ahead and raid somebody because, hey, we're going to share the love. You guys came out in droves. I really appreciate you guys coming and spending time with me. And I hope the answers to the questions were enlightening as far as the campaign setting is what I'm doing. Do watch the FYI channel in Discord. Those on Patreon get the early announcements as well as sneak peeks of all sorts of stuff. So go check that out if you want to get your name in the credits, etc. If you want to help me out with the GM tips or archives, check them out. Hit the thumbs up button when you see those over on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Come watch the one shot on October 24th with Bubble Laser. Those tickets are sold out. I'm sorry, we only had a limited number of seats for that. Each of those people is getting a custom piece of art done by Bubble Laser for that one shot. If you know someone who wants to play in my games, send them away. I'd love to talk to them about joining or getting on the wait list. But otherwise, guys, thank you so much for choosing me to be your GM. I greatly appreciate it. Every single time you guys show up, I really do appreciate it. It does allow me to do this, and it is absolutely a blast. Thank you for the inspiration. Thanks, Tech Viking. I'm glad you guys had fun. And we will do this again likely later this year or early next year. I'm excited to share with you where the business is going in the future, and I'm excited for the stories that you guys are exploring. Have a wonderful time. Please stay safe. As always, you guys are amazing, and I am a privileged GM to have such amazing players and clients, you guys, supporting me and being in my games. But for now, guys, we're going to head out. We're going to go ahead and raid someone, so please stick around for a moment. When we raid in, go ahead and toss in all of those iris emotes, and let's have a bit of fun iris bombing them. Have a wonderful night, guys. Stay safe, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow for the Spirit Sun Fellowship as they again brave the snows out in Uthurg. Take care, everybody. Be safe.